Welcome everyone to what is actually one of the first events we're holding with the larger BioFoundation Science Network, and the aim of today is to give you a little bit of insight into the life science industry, so a so-called insider's perspective. I'd like to start by handing over to Jan to give you the floor for 10 minutes to give us a little bit of insight into your career and the topics you would like to share with us today.
Yeah, thanks. Hello, everyone. So, at the start, I can already tell you that I'm not going to show you any presentation or slides. It's only about me introducing myself to you and hopefully answering all the questions you may have. I'm sharing a bit of what I've done in my career so far and what I'm currently doing. Perhaps let's start with my background. So my background is in biology. I studied biology in Freiburg in the south of Germany with a year abroad in the UK. I specialized on plant science or on plant-related topics very early on. And after my diploma, that's what the master was called back then, my diploma in biology on a molecular plant physiology topic, I moved on to the Max Planck Institute in Cologne, Max Planck Institute for Plant Breeding Research, where I worked on a project on plant pathogen interactions on non-host resistance. And already there, my motivation was to do something applied in plant science. So the more, what back then I thought doing research on plant pathogen interactions is the most applied topic you can do in research. Of course, well, it's partially true, but it's not. It was still basic research back then. And I spent back then, after my PhD, or already during my PhD, I spent quite some time thinking about what it is that I want to do next. Do I want to stay in academia, or do I want to move to industry? And this question has kept me quite busy for quite some time. And I've also, I didn't just ask that to myself, I've asked that basically to everyone around for quite some time. So this is actually also my major motivation for joining this event today, because I can imagine that many of you have the same questions in mind. And yeah, what is it like to work in industry? Is it the right thing for me? Am I imagining the right thing? Because I mean, unless you do it, you don't know what it's about or what it's like. And I'm happy to share some thoughts and some insights with you. So back then, I thought everything was quite pretty much black and white. So either I'm gonna continue to work in the lab, or I'm gonna spend the rest of my life behind the desk. Either I have scientific freedom, or I do as I've been told, and so on and so forth. That's all some talking points for later on in the breakout discussion. So after a short period of postdoc time at the Max Planck Institute, I was actually lucky to get a position as team leader in herbicide research with BioCrop Science. And that was at the weed control research site in Frankfurt, now some time ago. I applied for that position because it was one of the few positions that was open for a plant scientist. And I actually wondered why I was apparently the right candidate for them, because before I didn't spend much of my time working with herbicides, and I was never a team leader before. So another thing we could talk about later on in the breakout session or in the discussion. What I realized in the meantime was that it was more like the portfolio of scientists, because back then when I started, most of my colleagues, they were chemists, they were agronomists, we had soil scientists, we had toxicologists, we had all sorts, but there were actually only very few plant scientists or plant physiologists. And that was an element that was needed in the portfolio of scientists. And as all I was going to say many, but it's in fact all of the projects I've been working on so far were interdisciplinary projects. So what really matters is the skill set of the interdisciplinary team that's coming together to work on the respective projects. So since then, I've been a team leader and a project leader in various positions, most of the time in Frankfurt, also for some time at a trade research site that was in Belgium back then. Yeah, what else can I tell you? If like someone would have asked me at my time at university, what would you wish for? What would be the ideal position for you? I would, to my own surprise, sometimes have described something like what I was doing over the past few years, which was leading an interdisciplinary project that was spanning a wide range of activities, from basic research to developing test concept or test concepts for product testing in the field, so with agricultural or with agronomic relevance. It involved some basic research with a lot of collaborations. It also involved a lot of applied research, because in the end, the aim was to come up with products or product concepts. And I was actually quite happy to find that in industry. Of course, I can only describe my situation or my area of working. It might not be the same for others, but I thought in preparation of this meeting, that's also a perspective worth sharing with you. So in terms of working areas, I've spent most of my time looking at mechanisms. That's actually my area of expertise, looking at mechanisms that make plants happier, make crops healthier, increase yield, increase the growth of plants, make plants more resilient towards abiotic stresses or biotic stresses, and so on and so forth. And what I'm currently doing is, well, that's got a lot to do with greenhouse automation and implementation of new technologies, and phenotyping as well, and developing new solutions, new sensor-based or digitally enabled solutions for agricultural, or for the agriculture of the future. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing, and a bit of my background. Yeah, I hope that could already provide you with some ideas and talking points for the discussion later on.